Well, with all of the bridal collections, the inspiration is always a bit fluid because I do sort of think of them very much as sort of individual dresses, so they can't all have, you know, the same sort of inspiration point. But really, I think the overriding inspiration was the Belle Epoque period. Very sort of decadent and beautiful, sort of high necks, we've got a few of those, and sort of a little bit more sort of volume on the bodices, satins, lots of sort of pearl embroidery. I think the whole sort of tone of the embroidery beading has sort of come down a bit, so it's a bit more sort of crystal, opals and pearls. But beyond that, obviously a whole mix of silhouettes. I think I'm often very sort of inspired by the 30s period, and I just sort of was looking at sort of what Belle Epoque was and the, you know, again the Art Nouveau feeling to things. We were taking a lot of inspiration from a lot of the sort of the designs, the sort of textile designs of that period. So I think it just sort of grew there. Sometimes you just sort of find something, like maybe it would just be we were looking at the sort of Art Nouveau kind of patterns, and then you'll just get sort of interested in it and look into it and sort of build on it.
Well, it was a quintessential Jenny Packham show, and she just had the most beautiful red carpet, Hollywood glamour, old Hollywood glamour looks. She had very young, fresh looks, and she also had some a little bit more glamorous three-quarter sleeve looks that even an older bride could wear.
I think with a collection of bridal wear, it's not only body types, but it's what people want to wear. You know, some brides come to us and they do want the sort of fuller look, some want the strapless. You know, there's such a sort of variety. So I just try and put into the collection sort of something for everyone, I suppose.
I expect no less from Jenny Packham. You know, Queen of Beading, I call her. You know, I've carried it in my salon since the very first she showed in the United States about maybe 8 years ago. And it's been a love story with me and her ever since because the collection is so strong consistently, and it also sells at retail, and it's also beautiful and editorial. So you put all that together, the ingredients are, you know, it's amazing for all. It's a win-win for everybody. Love it.
Well, I hope because of the fact that I'm also a sort of ready-to-wear designer, I hope that I bring a sort of much more sort of fashion, contemporary look to it. A lot of the ideas come from some of the evening wear, and actually vice versa now as well. What makes a good evening dress doesn't always translate into an amazing wedding dress, but there's sort of elements that I can take, and I think through having the evening wear, I'm always sort of challenging myself to sort of come up with something new because that's what it demands. So I hope that I kind of push bridal wear a little bit because it can be very slow moving, the bridal wear, and you know, very sort of organic. But I think we've seen actually quite a shift in the last year of silhouettes, very much maybe like the Great Gatsby or Downton Abbey, and we're seeing perhaps some of the bigger shapes sort of falling away into more fluid lines.
Signature collection is really about beadwork to me. Although she's branching out and doing a lot of simpler dresses, you saw some beautiful draped chiffons and some beautiful draped tulle dresses that had no beading whatsoever, and they are stunning. But for me, her standouts are always the beadwork, especially the Art Deco and Art Nouveau inspired pieces. And there was sort of somewhat Edwardian pieces too, which was different. She moved within some different eras this time. It's always usually 30s and 40s and 20s. She kind of dipped a little further back to the 10s and early 1900s today with these beautiful high collar dress with a three-quarter sleeve was outstanding, as was a beautiful blush colored dress with the bronze crystals on it. It was stunning.
She definitely makes a wedding dress a wedding dress. It doesn't look like it's a red carpet gown just interpreted into a wedding dress. And I love just all the vintage beading that she has and the colors, the blush colors, and it's just so romantic, and you just never want to take the dress off.
I think it is about the dress must not take over. It just complements you. And I think if you're wearing a very formal dress, I love it when there's that kind of very sort of slightly sort of relaxed look about the hair and makeup. I think it's just not to overdo things, you know, just wear something wonderful. But the main thing is that it's a day to enjoy, and I think that's why, you know, we do try and keep them very sort of fluid and unstructured. To me, that is very, very important. I think people should feel they can move, they can forget what they're wearing, and just enjoy the day.